Hi, it's Carolyn, the contest queen, and today I have a special live stream because I get so many requests for Helene's blueprints, which I don't do. I thought I would show you what her blueprints were, some of her older teaching materials, how she described them in articles, and then introduce you to some other resources so you can find your own blueprint. Fascinating. So the first thing I'm going to go over is what I have in her book. Now, in the original Name It and Claim It game, Helene didn't have anything about blueprints. She did add some later. And so what I have here is I have two articles. The first one is her description, and the second one is an article that she had actually sent me to share on my blog. So these were originally on my website that I included in the book because not everybody knows who I am, but they all know who Helene is. And so these were additional chapters to the book that I added that I had found. And so I'm going to read them to you. You can read them in full on my blog. I will be reposting them so they're more current or fresh in my feed, along with all the links that I talk about. And I will also be resharing this video. And if you have any questions after each segment that I go over today, I will be answering questions. So Helene writes, the following formula that I have used for the past 50 years to compile blueprints is called unitology. It includes astrology, numerology, playing cards, Chinese astrology, keyology, karmic ties, master numbers, past life techniques, toning, which is your personal note to resonate healing, your personal year charted, plus a review and suggestions and impressions that I'm led to share with the person. So I added a note that says the way Helene uses the word unitology is meaning the unity of all types of metaphysical and spiritual methodologies to discover your life path, purpose, and flow with divine timing versus the religious church or cult using the same term. Unitology is neither a religion nor a form of fortune telling. Rather, it is a method for timing your decisions and actions with the rhythm of life. Which is interesting because a lot of people talk about going with the flow. She continues, know that you can change your destiny when you change your thinking. Unitology can fulfill the need of people that are eagerly searching for a person or book that can help them in human understanding. The simplicity of this method of self-analysis is the answer that I still use today. I present the personalized information in a 20-page photo album, which I'll be showing shortly, so that one can refer to it periodically. The following is an explanation I share from my personal experiences and research. You may accept or reject my opinions. You choose your parents. Your parents gave you a name. Your higher self gave you your mission. And as you read and review your blueprint, always accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Our life is divided into 3 major cycles. The first major cycle is the month number. This cycle represents the formative years and sets the tone for the entire life. It also represents the condition in which you were born. This is the cycle when you form your value and belief systems. It represents experiences related to your family, childhood schooling, religion, and your environment. Pythagoras taught that there are 9 basic numbers. All else is repetition, and therefore, whenever we encounter a compound number, we reduce it to a single digit, unless it adds up to an 11, 22, or 33, which we call master numbers. This means that you have more energy to work with. Each lifetime that we are on planet Earth in a physical body, we have a mission, also referred to as our destiny number. How we find that number is by adding our birth date numbers and reducing it until you get a single digit. For example, if your birthday is September 4th, 1960, take 9/4/1960 and you obtain your mission destiny like this. 9 plus 4 plus 1960 equals 1973, and 1973 equals 20, and 2 plus 1 equals 2 plus 0 equals 2, and your mission destiny number is 2. I used to be amazed at how many people had no idea what their mission or destiny is. People from all walks of life and all over the world are now requesting to have their blueprints charted. So let me show you what the blueprints are. Now, it's very interesting because I gave Helene my birth information, which when I went to her house in April, I actually found her old address book, the kind where people put in addresses and then they crisscross everything out as the people move and rewrite it. And at the very back of the book, you'll never guess what I found. She had charted some stuff for some famous people and other people. And I crossed out my old phone number, but she had written in my birth date. And she said Capricorn, the goat. And then she wrote, well, I was married at the time. She wrote my ex's name. And she drew a card for me, which was the 5 of spades, which is the wanderer, which I always thought was funny because I love to travel. So I don't know if it necessarily means that, but I found that in her old address book. The next thing is these photo albums. Now, these are the kinds with the sticky pages that your parents probably used to use, or your grandparents. Now, I wrote about this adventure at the beginning of the book, so I'm just going to read that for you there. So she says, Helene said she wanted to buy some supplies to create blueprints. She was out of the photo albums with the sticky pages she used. Off we went on a shopping trip. And I should say adventure. One of Helene's favorite sayings was Helen Keller's quote, "Life is a daring adventure or nothing." Any time I spent with Helene, no matter how mundane on the surface, was an adventure. Our first stop was Rosa's Cafe because it was lunchtime, and the first thing we spotted when we walked in was a big sign advertising a sweepstakes. You had to record a 30-second video describing your experience at the cafe, and as Helene didn't have any modern sweepstakes skills, I recorded her entry and submitted it on her behalf. She messaged me a few months later telling me that she'd won a secondary prize. She really did win every contest she entered, and I got to witness it firsthand. By the way, you can go watch that video on my YouTube channel. It's under the Helene Hadsell playlist. We ended up going to several Dollar Trees and Dollar Generals, as none of them seemed to have enough of the specific photo albums she needed to make her blueprints. And in the end, we found a dozen or so. And then I go on. But yeah, we went from dollar store to dollar store, like all over. I think we must have gone to, 6 or 7. We got a couple here and a couple there. Anyway, these were the kinds. And she made a mistake the first time because what she did was, I think it's this one. She made a mistake with it. She sent me this. She mails me this. She's all happy. And then she made me a Sagittarius. And I'm like, I'm a Capricorn. So she redid it as a Capricorn. And there's still a Sagittarius thing in here. I just think it's hilarious. So what she would do is she put some things in here that I actually have in her book. So she has points to ponder. And at the very back, she glued the Desidera, which is also in the Name It and Claim It game. It's close to the back. Okay, so if you have the book, it's on page 171. So I have it written out here for you, so I don't have to read it. You can just read it in the book. So it's nice that she has transferred some stuff. The points to ponder you'll find in Contact with Other Realms and in Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. So she had all these things. I can show you really, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up. She had all these little things, and then she would color them in with markers. And these were like photocopies of photocopies of photocopies. Some of the things in here are like, just let me see if I can find another one. So yeah, so here's some cartoons. And then she would use markers and color them in. So some things were photocopied over photocopies. Some things she would just print out from her computer. And yeah, so you can see how the toning. And I'll show you some older books in a second because I think that's where she got them. She used to teach courses, and there was 4 different courses she used to teach. So the first part of what I read you in the book is actually printed right here. And then she says, my path is a 6 because we add up all the numbers. So in the example, she said it was a 2, mine's a 6. And she says the 6 is the cosmic parent who accepts responsibilities for others' health, happiness, and fair treatment. Your mission is to serve, and it represents responsibility. What's in a name? Shame, blame, name, shame, blame, or fame. Alternatively, how about just a nice somebody who's special to everyone who meets you? Oh, your name vibrationally is I want to control over the physical and human resources around me and a chance to prove myself by taking an impossible task and succeeding, which, I actually do that because that's what I'm doing here with the books. I took all the books and I reprinted them, which seemed like an impossible task. When left alone and free, I enjoy seeking. I think she meant it as from my voice, and orderly systems through study and meditation. Well, I've been reading metaphysical type books since I was 18. I'm 56. I love it. I don't think I'll ever stop learning, even though I don't have the student archetype. And Carolyn, use your most likable trait is steadiness. The key word I use. She said, you only need 3 things in life to succeed: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. So she threw funny little things in here. Now, it's really interesting because a lot of people, when they write me and want to get a blueprint for themselves, I think that they don't want the type of blueprint that Helene did. And I'll explain why. So the type she did was she would just give you numbers and tell you a little bit about yourself. But to me, there was no real guidance in the current environment that we live in. Because you remember, she passed away in 2010, and she'd been doing that for 50 years before that. So she was doing this stuff in the 50s and 60s. We have so much stuff now connected online that it's not even the same. And what I have found is that because I even work with some metaphysical teachers, if a lot of you follow me, I work with Robert Ohotto, and he's an intuitive astrologer. And from what I learned from him is that your birth chart is your blueprint. And what you want to do is you want to work with somebody that can read that chart, that's intuitive, and also works with things like numerology and tarot, which is basically unitology, but on a more personal level. So you can ask questions. See, the problem with something printed like this is if you say, well, I'm really stuck in this job. Well, this won't answer that question. Or, what am I going to do about this particular relationship in my life? That won't answer that question. Should I be starting my own business? Should I be traveling more? What are the cycles that are coming? This won't answer any of that. And so that's why I think it's interesting that people ask for these. And I think if you received, besides the fact that it was from her, if you had received something like this, you wouldn't be very happy about it, because it wouldn't answer the questions that you have. And besides, all the answers are in you. I had taken last month a 4-day Silva Method intensive, and they teach you in there to, when you're meditating, is to ask higher intelligence for the answers, like Jose Silva taught, which I think is brilliant. So when I got all of her stuff, I found these little booklets from courses that she used to teach. And I love them because I have no idea who did the drawings on this, but check it out. I love it. And then this one is all astrology. And then this one is her awareness workshop. Now look at that. Look at that picture of Helene. I love it. And then I've got your number. Now, what's really interesting is on everything that's older, her name is Helene Hadsell. And then on this one, it said Helene Hadsell, and she added an E. It looks like the E has been written in by hand. And the same with this one. So it's like she had the photocopy, the thing to photocopy, because these are legal sheets. And I'll show you what's inside after. We'll go through some of them. But I think through numerology, she discovered that by adding the E, it changed her number. But I don't know how you can do that and change. I'd have to ask. I'm going to have a numerologist on my show sometime. So let's go through some of the questions, and then I'll start showing more stuff. Okay, let's see. Yeah, part of it is numerology. Exactly. Ooh, Patty says her path is a 6 also. Yeah, I bet you if we had somebody look at her chart, they would see the teacher archetype, because I like Carolyn Mace's work. It's pronounced Mace, but it's spelled MYSS. If you go to myss.com, miss.com, she has an article on there on archetypes. And actually, one of the archetypes I have is the gambler. Why I like sweepstakes, but thankfully it's paired with the sacred miser. So I don't go and spend all my money at the casino. I enter sweepstakes. So I get the same thrill of winning for free. Okay, let me answer some more questions. Oh, I've had numerology readings. Yeah, you'll have to leave a comment and tell us what you thought of that, because I have not had one, but I think it would be absolutely fascinating. Oh no, Joyce says, I'm watching this and I remember that I had one exactly like being shown. She must have done one for me. I no longer have it. Oh no. Okay. Michael says, if my birthday is 9/2/1964, I'm a 3, right? So let's see how good my math is. So 9 and 2. No, let's see how she did it. So I heard you add. So she did it where she added 9 and 2 to 1954. And then she broke them down. Okay, now I'm going to have to dig out my calculator, because my math is not. Math was never my strong suit. That's very funny. So 9 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 5 plus 4 equals 30. Yeah, so 3. That's how I learned it. There's some very good numerologists. Colette Baron-Reed actually interviewed a woman who I need to go look up. I guess I should have written her name down before this live stream, because of course I only think of it now. And she did a great interview on Habit. So why don't I talk about the toning first, since I have, all the little books out. We'll go over the toning one first. So the toning, if you notice on the front, okay, I'm going to hold it up. So, okay, you'll see it says toning, and then it's got different signs. And then beside it, it says with colors, and then it's got letters, right? Like Leo says yellow and minus E. And then Cancer says orange, yellow, and D sharp. Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of those overhead cameras so I can put stuff on my desk and show down instead of having a peek underneath. I was thinking that what I should be doing is copying all these into a book and reprint and putting it out there. But I kind of also don't want to reprint it in my material. I almost want to reprint it the way she had it, with the old type. And I can just imagine somebody there, okay, who is as old as me and remembers the machines, and they had the carbon copy paper and it smelled and it get blue, and you had to have the so let's see. Okay. So let me see what she says. Toning is the physical with color in music, using the creative power of the voice and vibration of the hue. It's certainly not new. We might say it is being rediscovered and reused in treating hundreds of ailments of a physical or mental nature. As I said, I was working with Robert, and in his membership, which is unfortunately closed right now, he's doing something called the Season of Light, and he's talking about the light body. So I bet Helene's work would tie into that. The laws and principles governing music and color energy have been present in wisdom teachings proclaimed by the masters of all ages. Today, research, psychology, biology, physics, and metaphysics is uncovering more facets of this science. We will share with you our concepts gathered from various authors, from personal experience, and from experiments completed with students that attend classes in color and music awareness. She must have had like one of those. It's not a harmonica. Music teachers use them. They're round and you can get a perfect tone. Oh, she says using a chromatic pitch instrument. I guess that's what it's called. So let's begin with an experiment. How to find your own musical note and color according to your astrological sun sign. Using a chromatic pitch instrument, begin by sounding the note C. So she says students participating in research would be in a comfortable position, closing their eyes, relaxing, and humming the C note for several minutes. All students will experience a vibratory response. It can be physical or mental. It can be pleasant or irritating. It might even cause tingling in the physical. All students experience a color in a mind's eye as the note is being hummed. Each student write down his or her answer to the following questions after humming the C note for a few minutes. That's really interesting. And so she goes through them all. This is all I have, so I don't have any of her class notes, so to speak, or what she would say. So her list is red is Aries, red orange is Taurus, orange is Gemini, orange yellow is Cancer, yellow is Leo, yellow green is Virgo, green is Libra, green blue is Scorpio, blue Sagittarius, blue violet is Capricorn, violet is Aquarius, and violet red is Pisces. Well, that's interesting because, oh no, I lost my stream. Looks like your camera is unplugged. Oh dear. Click the camera button. Oh, this is fun. Oh dear. Okay, let me figure this out. Well, that's just exciting, isn't it? And it's not even Mercury retrograde. And I'm going to leave it in there. And it looks like I'm not syncing properly now. Oh, geez, Louise. Okay, well, we'll go with it. Okay, so back to the numbers. Okay, anyway, we'll go back to this. So I was saying that blue violet, it's interesting because the contest queen, blue violet is the royal color. So how interesting. And my note is A, and I have no musical. I'll read mine. I know, because then she goes through them all. The A note vibrates on the color blue violet, and the astrological sun sign is Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Natives are born between the dates of December 22nd and January 20th. Capricorn, sometimes referred to as the goat, is very practical. Oh, it's so practical. But willing to venture out and explore the occult and the sciences. Exactly what we're doing here. They like to go places as they're quite ambitious with good common sense, plus being truthful and cautious. I love to go. Like, if you could just stick me on a plane or put me on a road trip, happy. If afflicted, some natives can be miserly, overly domineering, and can take to drink. Yeah, not me. I'm far from it. The color blue-violet governs the skin, bones, knees, and teeth. So this is very interesting. References for family and friends. So this was the little book. She just went through all of those this would have been a fascinating class. I bet you it would have just been a couple of hours with her. And then so this was her handout for that. So let me answer some questions and I'll go through some of the other ones and we'll go through the blueprints a little more. So someone asked, Sina asked, if my birthday is 0414 19. Oh, 1970 what? I just realized you didn't have the end. I would assume that her archetypes would be the same because Rove wants to know, would Helene's archetypes be the same as Carolyn's? I would assume so because archetypes are archetypes. And she said, does she talk about Joseph Murphy in her Sage book? I asked a question about him by email and she said I had to buy the book. That's funny. Okay, so why don't you ask your question? And if I can answer it, I will. That's so funny. I'm just doing an update because I had some printing issues. So I'm doing another line edit of the book to fix the problems that we had with it. And I haven't got to the Dr. Murphy chapter yet, but that's so funny. Oh, so Al says, oh, great handle. I feel I definitely understand the law of attraction concept. I'm aware since 2000, although your recent interview at Tommy Schultz channel, you discussed Helene Hadsell and the concepts. Yeah, this isn't new stuff. This is just, well, I'm gonna, for Patty, I'll give the comment that actually, let me just pull the book since I'm doing the line edit. I know pretty much. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, so this is the update of the 83-year-old sage. And she asked Joseph Murphy a question one time. And like she hung out with some really cool people. Yeah, here it is. Bear with me as I digress for a moment. When I met Dr. Joseph Murphy, a Catholic priest, writer, lecturer, and author of over 30 books, one of which is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, I kidded him about using the same antidotes and many articles and books he'd written. And his answer to me was, sometimes people have to read or hear something 42 times before it registers. True. I think that's just so fascinating. Oh, mimeograph machines. That what they're called. Yeah, I'm not old. But I couldn't remember the name. Thank you, Andrea. Oh my gosh, a whole slew of you said it. That's very funny. That's what happens when you're behind on the comments. Oh, Elle has a numerology book called And the Divine Triangle by Faith, Javon, and Dusty Bunker. So yeah, if anybody wants to go Google that. Oh, it's a pitch pipe. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Oh, this is so interesting. I haven't heard this. I'm going to have to go look up this book. Her blueprints remind me of the secret language of birthdays. They use tarot cards, astrology, and interviews to help develop a birthday personality by date. Yeah, so what happened with me was she gave me these, but I didn't really kind of clue into them. And actually what's really interesting is some of the stuff, if you get a chance, go and watch. I know it's kind of dated now, but the old Stephen Jobs commencement speech. And he said you can only connect the dots backwards. So she gave this to me in 2008. And so that was about 18 months before she passed away. What happened is in my chart, so if you go to my astrology, Pluto went into Capricorn, the planet of destruction and rebirth. And basically my life did this. And so I ended up divorced. We went bankrupt. It was like, I thought I was going to lose my business at one point. Like I literally, Contest Queen survived literally by the skin of its teeth. Like it just, I can't even believe it's still in business. Like I thought I was going to have to close my doors. And so it's been doing this over time. And only when Pluto got to the end of the cycle, Pluto is leaving Capricorn soon. And then it does a little wobble in and out of Aquarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Capricorn. And then finally at the end of 2024, it'll be in Aquarius. And I can just say, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I mentioned that to Robert. He said to me, yes, but then you get all the Aquarian lessons. And I'm like, shush, shush. But it was big for me because all my personal planets are in Capricorn. So everything personally shifted. It's one of the reasons I think that Helene had asked me to do her books in 2008, but I just didn't have any bandwidth to deal with it until 10 years later. And then I was finally able to do something with them. And then she said in here, she said at some point that I have it somewhere. I know she said it somewhere, but she said I wasn't really going to start taking off. Like my life would start taking off around 57, which is exactly when Pluto leaves Capricorn for me. Coincidence? Maybe not. We'll see. And then, so let me see if it was in here. I just thought it was really interesting that she said, okay, so then she goes, so here's the other thing. You can go through your personal years. So each year we go through a personal cycle. It's amazing how it spells out the overall year's challenges. To find this year's number that you are to get in to get a clue what's in store for you, you take the month you were born, the day you were born, and the current year. So when she did this in 2008, I was born January 1. My day is the 9th. And then that year was 2008, right? So January 1 and 9 is 10, but then you go 10 makes 1. And then 2008 also makes 10. So it goes down to 1, and 1 and 1 is 2. So then I'm a 2-year, and then 2010 was a 3-year, and then 2011 is 9 was a 3-year, 2010 was a 4-year, 2011 was a 5-year. It just follows suit, right? But it'll be a different year for you. So she said that year was beginnings. Then year 2 was cooperation. See, now what's interesting is she said year 2, so 2009, a year to pull in your horns or smooth your personality a little, the year to work with others. Vibrations are for marriage or divorce. That was the year I started my divorce. Equally or strong for harmony or discord. Some benefits will realize from your year 1 projects. Look for lucky strikes without effort on your part. Cultivate for more confidence. I think I need to update my reading glasses. Personal year is 3 social. So each year as you go. But it's interesting. Yeah, see, like a year to keep your nose to the grindstone, my year 4. Matters pertaining to business or job should be carefully watched or things can get out of hand. Keep all affairs in perfect order. Be of health and attend small details. The year for pay as you go. Well, that was the year when we went bankrupt. So it's just really interesting to see all your years. So 4 was work, and then 5 was change, 6 was adjustment, 7 is rest, 8 is money, 9 is finish. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 2016 was 9. So if I go through them, we'll see, but it would be interesting to see. And then she does a little bit of astrology with the animal in us. So this, the animal is what she got from here. So this is the animal in us. So she basically took all these courses that she did in the past and put them in her blueprints. Okay. So 1971. So it's basically 4, 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 1 is 30. What did you think you were? I can't remember. Let me do it again. Let me see how good my math is. 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus, that's a 7. 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 1 is 27. So that is a 9. There you go. So that's interesting. Oh, okay. So Patty says, I don't remember the question, but he alluded to something he did about the law of attraction. So I will do, I should do another video on him because he's interesting. But there is a whole story. There's a whole chapter on thought forms in the, or is it in that chapter? I haven't got to it yet. She has a whole chapter that's called just Dr. Joseph Murphy. So maybe I'll do something on that. But the beginning of the chapter, she talks about how he knew her. She knew of him, but Norman Vincent Peale told Dr. Joseph Murphy to call Helene. What? I just did a video on Norman Vincent Peale and where I think Helene got the E in spec. It's in I think it was chapter 11, or was it 7? But that's where she got it. Okay, so the animal in us. And that's what happens is a lot of teachers take this and this and this and this and this and repackage it. I mean, the movie The Secret is famous for that. I mean, the base of that is the famous Wallace Wattles book. And it goes from there. So this is about the signs in the Chinese horoscope. But the thing that it doesn't tell you is you have to go by the Chinese New Year. So I'm 1967, but in the Chinese calendar, I'm actually under 1966 because my birthday is before the Chinese New Year. Because I'm in January and the Chinese New Year's in February. So I'm actually a horse, not the goat. And my daughter, coincidentally, is a horse. So remember that. So you have to go by the year, except if your birthday is like in January, and then you have to go to the year prior. So then she goes through. So this is about the rat. Then she talks about, so she has the rat and then she goes to buffalo, and then she goes to tiger. She goes through all of it. So let me find the horse and I'll explain to you how she did it. And look, she tied the book with ribbon. And I love how it's like on the old IBM typewriter. My dad used to work for IBM. Actually, so did my mom. That's where they met. And let me see. I think I just found, is that the horse? No, that's the snake. Hang on. Let me see if I can find the horse. Oh, so you're a horse. Good solid thinking, or should I say stable thinking? She loved the play on words. If you were born in the following years, 1906, 1918, 1930, 1942, 54, 66, are you really wanting to come back to planet Earth then? Some days I wonder. That's just funny. Okay, you'll always be popular because you like to praise others. You're cheerful, popular, and smart with money, but you may be too talkative and showy. Well, talkative is that was on every report card I had. You are wise, talented, and good with your hands. Well, I guess if you consider writing, I have no artistic talent, whatever. I couldn't build something if my life depended on it. Garden, though, I can garden. Crowds, fun, and action attract you, and you like the opposite sex. I'm sure you've heard the expression, she's a clothes horse. Well, that's not true, actually. So like I said, the problem is these are super general. Okay, and she goes on and on. Like, I'm not going to sit here and read this whole thing. But let's find out how a horse responds to the other animals it comes in contact with. Okay. I wonder what George. Okay, let me see what George is. He's 63. Oh, he's a cat. Is he a cat? 1963. He was born. Yeah, so he's a cat. I didn't think he was a cat. A horse and a cat. Friendship, and a beautiful blendship. There you go. Oh, no, that was other animals. What goes on in the love department of the horse, or should he be ignored? Okay, let's see. But they may get bored with each other, but will wind up being good friends. Yeah, I don't think so. Or after marriage, baby kiddos. What's on with this kid? Oh, she's so funny. Looking for a business partner. What have you got going on for you regarding your sun sign? Oh, okay, so then she talks about the sun signs. Back to things and what's in the coming year. Oh, this is hilarious. This is so old. So now I know when she did this class, 1975, because what's coming in the years ahead for the horse? 1976, a year of fulfillment. You'd have satisfied feeling. Well done. Here's when I was 10. This is somewhat of a romantic year for you. Stay away from the snake. Yeah, I don't think that was a very romantic year. 78. Oh my gosh. 1980, the year I started high school. Great things are in store for you. Why not try the political route this year? No, I did not run for student body president. That's hilarious. And then she goes on to the goat. So she goes through each of them. And look, she ran out of pages. So she did it at the end. And then at the back, she printed some stuff up for her bill. And she says, the Delta Sciences Spiritual Center is dedicated to self-awareness, healing, fellowship, and personal counseling, services and prices, classes, tarot, awareness, healing, creative writing, art, and others. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., minimum 3 in a class, $25. Fee includes workshop, lunch, and materials. That's all right. Overnight guests after 6 p.m. For an additional $10, you get a light supper and breakfast. This is a deal. An individual session, a 24-hour stay with personal counseling and attention, bed and board class, $50. And tarot reading, offering insight to understanding, present projects, $25. But, I got to say that it was 1975, so maybe that was a lot of money in 1975. I don't know. I was too little to remember. Okay, so we've gone through 2 of her books. Let me answer some more questions. Oh, Yolanda wants me to say something about the number 3. Okay, let me see what she says about 3. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Why don't we? She has this little one called I Got Your Number. And she talks about unitology at the beginning again. And there she signed it Helene Hadsell. So I'm betting dollars for donuts. I should do the numerology on that. I never did it. Because you have to pick all the letters. Okay, so formative cycle. Let me see if I can find 3. Number 2, number 3. Okay, here it is. If number 3 is your life path number, the key word is self-expression. I can't get over the typewriting. Like, it's just the best. And it looks like it was photocopied or mimeographed like several times. The joy of living. Oh, that's so nice. A person with this life path will find his opportunity in the lighter side of life, keeping in circulation and socializing. He should be in an occupation or surroundings where he may have the opportunity to express artistically, seeking every occasion to use words whenever, whether in writing or vocabulary. He or she is an invaluable guest at any gathering. Oh, as 3 people are laden with the ability to bring joy and light, and are usually considered the life of the party. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, then it talks about if your personal year is 3. So that's not that. So that was about the 3. Oh, how cool is that? There you go. That's what she says. So this was another book. Let me see if there's any year information on this. Okay, and then she has master numbers at the end. References used for compiling this lesson material for study include the following. The complete illustrated book of the psychic sciences by Walter B. Gibson and Litzka R. Gibson. Chero's Book of Numbers by Chero, Unitology by Margaret Haynes, Numerology by Vincent Lopez, and Guide to Numerology by Mark Milton. Now, I wish I had looked because she might have had those books and I only brought so many back. Like I literally filled the car. I really didn't have room and I had to be very stealthy. But now I'm like, did I leave some books behind that I should have brought with me? Tapes available for personal growth by Helene Hadsell include, now I never found any tapes of hers. How to be a winner in all areas of your life, better self-image, healthy body and healthy thinking, mental trip to exploring the universe, body and organ language, and the power of positive shrinking. Cassette tapes are $6.50 each, postage paid. Now, this is older because she still had her address, her mailing address in this book was the house that she won. And I found her, oh, and so is this one. We'll talk about this one after. And we'll go through some more blueprint stuff. Okay. Number 3. Oh, Patty, the story he basically tells in the, I'll give you this, the Cliff Notes version of the story he tells. I'm not going to read a whole chapter of another book here in the blueprints, but the story that Dr. Joseph Murphy tells in Confessions of an 80-Year-Old Sage was how he manifested a fully furnished home like Helene did, but his was gifted to him by a admirer who had no family, no children, and she was very wealthy. And Helene basically said she felt he picked up her thought forms. So the woman was putting out the thought of giving her home to someone who would care for it the way she loved it. And when he meditated, he was visualizing, because he was pretty much broke and living in renting a room in some boarding house. And he picked up on her thoughts and he envisioned a house. And like he meditated on this house every day for months. And then one day a lawyer knocked on his door. He was doing all this positive affirmations and speeches on a local radio station. And this woman had heard him on the radio and he was envisioning this house. Anyway, he ended up inheriting the house. And it was just like he wanted. It even had a recording studio upstairs. And so Helene said, oh, she was putting out thought forms and you just picked up on them. Kind of like one cell phone to another. Just, oh, the nuns use pitch pipe in grammar school. Yeah, I just remember the music teachers. Oh, Christy says, Pluto in Capricorn was destructive for me. It was my 6th house opposite all my 12th house planet, conjunct my descendant north nodes. I had 3 surgeries, 2 job losses, and a breakup. Oh, dear. Yeah, 6th. So I'm not an astrologer. I'm going to preface that. There's so many good astrologers on out there. And so 6th house, I believe, is health. But I had mine because mine are in the 7th house of relationship and 8th house of money, of other people's money. So yeah, that's why divorce and lost all the stuff. But yeah, it's not necessarily based on your life path because she has a 7 life path. It's based on the reason Robert Ohado says he likes using it as a tool is because he says it's like clockwork. Like the planets, your planets are fixed in your birth chart and the transits go around. And he says it's like, and everybody's birth chart is different. This is why Helene gave a very generic one. She wasn't using, she would just know, oh, I'm a Capricorn sun sign. And and I actually had to fix something in A Man Called Friday. She had a part that she talked about Friday ends up at a gathering at a restaurant, and he meets his hosts, because he goes from place to place, and his host took him out that night, and he met all her friends, and one of them was like into astrology, and she said, oh, he's that way because he's on the cusp of a sun sign. And I'm like, oh no, that's not how it works. You're one sign or you're another sign. There's no cusps. Like if you look at your birth chart, and you're born, so today the signs changed from Aquarius to Pisces, but if you were born at a certain time and you did your birth chart, you might be at almost like at 0 degrees, but a few minutes. So you're one sign or another. Like there's no, I think it's pretty rare someone to be born on exactly a 0 minute, 0, not even 1. That would be pretty rare. So you're one sign or another. And so that's what I had to fix in that book. And all the astrologers that I know use very sophisticated software. I think it's called SolarFire is one of the more popular ones. And they use it to do all the charting. So that's why in the olden days, astrology was only for kings and queens, because all of the stuff that we can just put in the computer and pull up in a minute used to be done by hand. All the calculations were done by hand by the astrologer, and it would take like forever. So that's why it was all done by hand. So I don't think Helene knew more than the sun sign. And she also didn't understand, because I don't think she was an astrologer. Like she just read what she had in the astrology books. And I found a few of her astrology books. I gave them to one of my astrologer friends because I couldn't appreciate them at that level. But to learn to read charts at that level takes a long time. And so anyway, that's my take on astrology. Okay, so what's the name? The book. Okay, I know she mentioned the divide something. I'll be putting it all in the notes. I'll put links to different things in the notes. Oh, the Marvelous Book of Wallace Wattles. Yeah, Christy says I'm a rat and my dad's a horse. Oh, she mentioned him on my webcast. May have been the thought forms. Yeah, it must have been the thought forms. If you want the whole story, I just gave you the cliff notes. Then yeah, that might have been the story. Those are the only 2 stories I have for Dr. Joseph Murphy from Helene. There may be more. I found a bunch of diskettes at her house and some paperwork that have some stories. I think I have enough to compile another book, but it's going to have to be like 2024, 2025, because I've got to finish. I'm finishing Prizes Everywhere. I want to do a guidebook for the Name It and Claim It game, like a companion workbook. And I want to republish the Silva method. So I might be heading down the Silva path, just like Helene did. I have this feeling I might end up becoming a Silva instructor just because. That's funny. Michael says, oh my God, a customer told one of my bosses I talk too much. Well, I talk a lot, and now it's my job. I either put it in writing or I sit here on YouTube or TikTok or... Did she say anything about Taurus? Let me look. Which book had... I don't think she had anything about Taurus, because... Oh, the toning? The toning's the only thing she had about Taurus. Let's see. C, it was the notice C sharp. So it's C sharp, red, orange, and it's Taurus. I might have to reprint these somehow. Maybe do a 2-part book. One with my reproduction, like in proper book form, and then scan these and do images in the back half of the book so people could see what the original looked like and just enjoy it, even though it's not as pretty, just so they can have the nostalgia. I should do that. It wouldn't take very long to do one of these. Wouldn't that be funny? I love it. Yeah, maybe I'll redo these. And they wouldn't be expensive because they're only like one. So 1, 2, 3. How many pages is this? 12. It's like 15 pages. So the book would be like 30 pages. Right? You know, like a $2.99. There is a minimum cost. Here's the thing with Amazon. If you turn around, and I made this available to the public as a print version, there's a minimum based on the size. There's a minimum cost that Amazon charges because of the actual physical cost of printing and paper. So I don't know what the minimum would be, but I could do like, you know, $1.99 ebook. That may be fun, right? And then I don't know how much a print book would be because Amazon. And I also don't want to get it too big because right now these fit into envelopes to mail. You see, this is bigger. So I'd have to see, because then that also changes, like you see how it's shorter. So I'd have to play with it. We'd see. Oh, Tina, I bought 3 books from Helene. Well, did you know her 4th book has been published? I published. So this one was never out to the public. She printed these in 2008, near when, about 18 months before she passed away, she printed this book. And it doesn't say anything. She's got all these like little sayings and things on it. And then I redid it. A little more dynamic. Right? Yeah. So she had a classified ad. So in her book, when she printed it, she had a classified ad, which I copied. But for the back, I had my webmaster create a, I was hoping it would focus on it. Yeah. I had him create it like a real, like it was really torn out of a paper. And then, yeah. Okay. So Christy wants to ask, how can you find your number? So you add your birthday. And if you're born like on 27, you have to add 2 and 7. And if you're born like me on a single digit, then it's just the 1. So for example, say you were born September 27th, or let's even do December 27th. Okay, 1960. I'm just going to pick a date. So December is 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 0 equals 28. Then you add 2 and 8 together, right? 2 plus 8 equals 10. But then you add those together, and 1 plus 0 equals 1. So it's 1. You see how you keep going down. And that's how you go into it. Oh, Jennifer wants to know, oh, what a great spelling for your name. Wants to know about Gemini. Okay, so Gemini was in the toning book. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something with these. Let me see. Where does it say? Oh, I didn't read out Taurus. Let me read out Taurus. So the C sharp note vibrates to the color of red orange. And the astrological sign is Taurus, sign of the bull. These natives are born during the month of April 21st to May 21st. They're usually patient, practical, quiet, strong, and conservative. Taurians need creature comforts to be happy, negative aspects to work out for some natives as they're getting angry and hurt too easily, being bullheaded and plain lazy. People born under the sign have a calming effect on high-strung people and are able to handle them quite effectively. They also make good healers. The color orange, red-orange governs the thyroid, ears, lower jaw, larynx, and cerebellum. Gemini is orange, and the note is D. The D note vibrates the color orange, and the astrological sign is the twins of Gemini. Born during the months of May 22nd to June 21st, these natives are ruled by the planet Mercury. Quick and brilliant in reasoning, they're the most acceptable and logical in their expression. If of a negative nature, they tend to be wishy-washy in making decisions, lack sticking to anything to its completion, and tend to be too high-strung. The color orange, note D, governs esophagus, nerves, hands, arms, legs, and neck. So I think she got this. There's got to be a book out there on like this kind of toning. That class would have been fascinating with her. I have no idea what it would have been. So in here, she put, so what she does first is she gives the points to ponder. She gives me a life path profile. Then she goes through review of your major life cycles. And then informative, productive, and harvest. So harvest is like, so here's, now I like this. This is interesting. So January and October are informative cycles. She said from age 31 to 57 is your productive cycle. I took the day that you were born, which is 9. I hope you're prepared to do a lot of writing and studying. I'm now on book 7. I might be I've got 3 more plans. That's 10. I'm getting 10 from Tag. That'll be 20. I have another idea for a book, and now I might print 4 more. So how many is that? That's like 35. Have I lost track? I don't know. Or 25? I don't know. It might end up being like, I'm going to be one of these people. She wrote 47 books. And then so she went from age 58. Okay. That's when I go into my Saturn return. So Saturn return is, you have one at about 29 and you have another one at 58. For as long as you choose to remain in your physical body, so she's assuming I'm still going to be here, you will be in your harvest cycle. I get this number by the year that you were born. Lots of activities indicated. Conditions are constantly changing. Find a way to exercise a necessary amount of freedom. If you're dissatisfied with routine and restriction, you may or may not experience difficulty with your nerves, which may result in trapped energy. If you're moving too fast without success, results, ulcers may become an unwanted condition. Okay, and then she talks about your cards. So she draws playing cards, and I got the 5 of spades, which is the Wanderer. And then she talks about me, and then she gets people in your life. So I had my husbands, my husband, I call them, my daughters, and my moms. And then, like, some stuff looks really reprinted. It's so funny. Oh, and then my dad. And then she says, Capricorn, the most likable trait is steadiness, and the dominant keyword is I know, which is really funny because when I was little, my mom says, you know everything. You're like a walking dictionary. So yeah. So then she goes in, then she talks about my toning. So you can see she basically recreated it. And then she talks about my chi. And she gets it again from 1967. And my number is 6. So 6 is heaven. Don't take life too seriously. Although you're respected for your sense of responsibility and organizational abilities, you tend to put yourself above others and to be critical of them, which I don't think is true. But we all see ourselves from inside, right? Your cool elegance is often interpreted as arrogance, which keeps people at their distance. Loosen up and use your power to inspire and lead. That is where I think this is weak as a tool to learn about you, because everybody's birth chart is different. So yes, I'm a Capricorn, but where's my moon? Where's my sun? Where's my moon and my Mercury and my Venus and my Saturn and my, like, you know, where's Uranus in my birth chart? Where's Jupiter? Where's, like, it, you know, you can't compare one person's to another just based on their sun sign. So I think that's a little bit, sure. So, like, yeah, what does she say about Aries? In here, Aries was, I'll do Aries and then we'll do this. I'm going to definitely have to make these. This is inspirational. See, I teach and I learn at the same time, which is one of the reasons I love doing this, because now I'm going to be making little books, but I have to finish prizes everywhere yet. There's no way anything's coming first. I have a whole year to pump out these books. Oh, Maria says, thanks for today's live. I'm blessed to have a blueprint from Helene and an old photo album. I'll have to find it and refresh on her words of wisdom 15 years ago. It is interesting to look back and see how some of it is accurate, which is why I like, so Robert doesn't do readings anymore, but he's trained some people to do them. So I'm going to put their contact information in the blog post and in the description here. I guess it makes sense. I should also put it on the lives. And then you can go get a reading, and they can combine, they do mostly intuition in your birth chart, but if you ask, they can do other stuff too. And then I have one friend that's starting a business. She's really good. She's been doing this stuff for 30 years. She's only a couple of years older than me, but she's never officially, she's got all the certification. She teaches in school. She does all this stuff, and she doesn't have a website. So I said, okay, when your website's up, I'll send people to you. So this is her awareness workshop, which is, I think, the predecessor to Maneuvers for Witchcraft. So, this is Napoleon Hill. Anything you conceive and believe you can achieve. No, that was Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie, anything you can conceive and believe you can achieve, right? As soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. And then Helen Keller, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Each dawn is a new beginning. Change your thinking and change your life. I think that's Wayne Dyer, but this seems to be before Wayne Dyer. I don't know what year this was. I love this, that the table of contents is on the last page. And she also rewrote the book. This is interesting. Okay, I got to read this. The woman who wins in every contest she enters. You definitely must hear the positive, constructive, creative message shared by Helene Hadsell. She will amuse you, inspire you to action. Helen makes you aware on how to find your place in the fun, how to experience the blending of physical, mental, spiritual laws to enjoy life totally. Her dynamic delivery, knowledge of life from personal experiences, as well as from many people she counseled in the past, is down to earth in usable terms. This is so hard to read. It's so small. Actually, Debbie says, would you do a workshop on spec? I do a workshop on spec. It's called Maneuvers for Witchcraft 2.0, and it's on my website under workshops. And I did one this month already, so the next one is in March. I try and change up the dates, and everything's kind of spread out in March. You'll notice there's a gap because I am going to Florida to meet Tag Powell, who happened to be Helene Hadsell's second publisher and an author in his own right. So that's going to be very exciting. Okay. So she says, interested in the field of positive thinking for the past 20 years. The book titled The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale triggered her interest in the subject. She applied the principles in the contesting field. It worked. The family had phenomenal success in their contest wins, appliances, trips abroad, and in 1965, a $50,000 house where they presently reside, which is crazy because some people don't believe she won it. I just found the paperwork from Formica assigning all the legal documents for her owning the house. So from the Formica Corporation. So she really did win the house. And in 1968, she began studying self-awareness programs. From that point, her interest broadened to the field of ESP and hypnosis. In 1970, she studied in Europe observing techniques using suggestology and hypnosis in the healing arts. While abroad, she audited the 19th Annual International Parapsychology Conference held in Le Puy, St. Paul de Venice, France. And in 1971, she published her first book titled The Name It and Claim It Game with Maneuvers for Witchcraft. DeVoris is the publisher. And in 1972, she again studied in England observing ESP and the healing arts. In 1973 took her to Prague, from where she attended the first annual Psychotronic Congress. After the conference, she went to Moscow to observe research being done with suggestology in the Institute in Moscow. She's appeared on numerous TV and radio talk shows. She taught classes in ESP research and self-awareness in the Dallas area. She has lectured and conducted workshops at conventions, churches, colleges, and study groups in major cities in the USA and Canada. Oh, I didn't know she came to Canada. She received a degree of Doctorate of Metaphysics in 1973 after completing 4 years of study in the Brotherhood of the White Temple in Salina, Colorado. She was woman's editor for the Irving News, editor and publisher for Self-Awareness newsletter, printed in the Mind Control program in Laredo, Texas. She recently wrote a feature stories for the Grand Prairie newspaper. She also rewrote the book, The Name It and Claim It Game, revised, which is interesting because that I know she did in 1988, which I have here. That's the one Tag published. But this was rewritten. So this was the one she did with DeVos. So there's the DeVos one. Now, one is a copy that she had an X on because it was a misprint. So this is the first one with her picture. And this is the second one, and they changed her picture. But both of these were done by DeVos. Yeah, see, this one has some X's in it. Here, I'll show you. More in the back. So you're going along, and you see, like, X. So they actually just totally missed printing pages. Like, you're going along a chapter, and stuff's completely missing. Like, there's, like, full-on blank pages in this book. But I kept it anyway because how could I not, right? So this one was published 71, and the fourth printing was in 78. So I think this was the 78 one. Anyway, and let's see what it says. Creative Marketing Systems, Inc. and it gives the address in Hamilton, Ohio, is the publisher and distributor of the work. That's interesting. Because I only have DeVos and Top of the Mountain Publishing. Now I'm going to have to go look. Currently, she is compiling experiences for a book to be titled Psychic Self-Awareness, which I never found in any of her works. So I don't think she ever did it. Or maybe that's the one that she ended up printing was In Contact with Other Realms. Because that was her second book. So this is interesting. I love this stuff. So this awareness workshop, so that it includes, the front cover is page 1. Yeah, that's usually not how you do a table of contents. Are you color conscious? Color healing specific diseases. Okay, so this is back to that toning. It ties in toning. Psychoanalyze yourself. Test questions for analyzing yourself. How you rate on analyzing yourself. Heal yourself by laughing. How to succeed at what you like best. I think it's a typo. I think it's supposed to be what kind of person are you, but it's spelled Kine. What kind of person are you? Analyze your own handwriting, psychic hand, magnetic exercises for intensifying the current in the body. Give yourself a psychic reading. Know thyself. Mental and magnetic techniques for healing. Chanting. Psychometry workshop training. That's a lot in this little book. What kind of person are you? Really like it says metaphysical, but I think it's supposed to be metaphysical. Significance of the organs and thought control technique, which thought control is Jose Silva, which I just took. She can't really have all that in this little book. Color consciousness, color healing. Oh, look at this. It looks like one of those old headlines. Oh, wait till you see the other side. Those drawings are from, let's see, wait, what's that part? What kind of person are you really like? So, so it's a person. And then at the bottom, it says you can be a plain old balance and have a bit of all the symbols. This is very funny. And then look, know thyself study meeting. And then she has all these handwritten notes that she photocopied in. I guess back in those days, now people expect so much stuff, so much more. This is very funny. Okay, so yeah, she has it all. So I imagine this was a full day workshop. Oh my gosh, she took this out of a magazine. What kind of person are you? Take this 90-second test and find out, by Charles Golden. People frequently complain that nobody understands them, and it's not surprising since nobody really understands himself as well as he'd like to. It's fun getting to know yourself better, and psychologists have come up with a new and interesting way to gain further insight into the kind of person you are. The following test, based on the findings of a series of studies conducted by psychologist Robert Knapp and his colleagues at Wesleyan University, Wesleyan University, each of the phrases used in the test have been pre-tested on hundreds of men and women who found to provide an amazing accurate index to their characters. And here's a list of key phrases that the psychologists find the most effective in revealing personality. Take the test, select from the 18 phrases the one which most closely symbolizes the image you have of yourself, and to find out what this tells of you, check the analysts below. So you have A is like an electric generator, a surging tide, or a humming tea kettle. B is a shaft of light, a lilting melody, or birds rising in flight. And then we go through them. So wait, where's the answer for those? Oh no, this is where she would teach it. She doesn't have any details on what it is. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what they mean. There's no oh dear. Oh dear. Look at that. That's funny. So that's the awareness workshop. It's a little thin. Okay, so let's finish up the blueprint. Some of this is good. So there we go back to the animal part. Then she says something to think about. I think this is, and she plugs her book in here too, which is so funny. She says, past lives, yes. For all of us to have learning experiences and to balance our emotions, the situations that we did not understand at time and place where we lived. Yes, we can recall and remember them at this time in our evolutionary process, especially when we look into somebody's eyes, because eyes are the mirrors of the soul. Remember, there are no accidents, happenstance, or coincidences. We tend to gravitate to people we knew, where, when, and why. Sometimes to renew good feelings, and times we had in the past, sometimes to settle a score of injustice, payback time. If we could forgive and forget, it would suffice, but some souls lack the understanding. In my book, Confessions of a Sage, I share my experience of a story, a search for answers, and I ask for proof and how I received it. All is forgiven and understood now. Okay, so that one is, I'll just get out the book. It's a good thing I pulled that one out. That's very funny. The search for answers is right at the very end. Okay, so lessons from the past are documented in the Akashic records. Oh, this is the story about her son Dyke being born and how she didn't like him. And I'm going to give you the cliff notes. And she went to she went and learned, let's see. She went to a class, then the guy did the Akashic records, and she did one. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So she got a crystal ball, which I have. I didn't bring it out. It's behind the screen because my office is all sports themed. So it doesn't really do for good video. Anyway, she wasn't glancing at it properly. And then she found out that she had to kind of gaze into it, ask a question. And then she had the answer where she went to a past life with him and he fought with her. And she said, you know, I hate you. And then in this life, she didn't like him right away. She recognized his soul. And then she puts in here, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is your gift. That's why it's called the present. So, and then she talks about coincidence and happenstance. So then when she went to that Moscow thing that I talked about, she went to a museum, and after she had that experience with the vision, she went to the museum and saw a figure in a display that looked exactly like her son, and it confirmed her vision from past life. That's the short version. I still recommend getting the book. Then she says, what can you do to get your answers about past lives? Desire with earnest and sincerity, becoming more aware of people, places, and things you find interesting. Meditate and ask yourself questions. Why am I drawn to him? Why don't I like this person? Why does this place seem familiar? Keep a notebook at your bedside. Many of your answers will come in dreams. Trust me, and you alone have your answers. Oh, I did say that earlier, didn't I? So when the time comes during this lifetime and you get serious about life and other dimensions, there will be a book, a person, or a place that will give you confirmation. Seek to find. It's still a do-it-yourself world, so why not make your life a daring adventure in the short time you have on this planet? And then she gave some personal observations. So here's what's interesting. So she says, I found your chart to be most interesting, especially noting that no one that you had listed has your numbers under your life path numbers. The fact that you are now in your 9th year until you reach 58 indicates why you're so interested in searching for answers to know thyself. You will succeed as you continue to read and meet people in all walks of life. A bit of advice that I'll pass along is every book you read or every person you meet that shares their experiences and concepts is meant for their learning experiences. Discern, and reach your own conclusions. Knowledge is power. I always remind my students to discern when I tell them my findings. I want them to use their own good judgment and common sense. As the saying goes, wisdom is the ability to use knowledge and make common sense. November 2008. And then she kind of sums it up. And she said, this is your personal blueprint and it applies your entire life while in the physical body. I suggest you review it periodically. Every time you review it, you'll become more aware of an aspect you overlooked. And then she said, questions to ask yourself. And then she put her Dystera. So that's what we have. So do we have any more questions? Oh, Michael said, what's the name of that book? Which book am I talking about now? I've talked about so many books. So please remind me and I will tell you. I just thought it was fun. I just have so many people asking about them. And there's so many people out there that do multitude of modalities. Like they do combine, astrology, intuition, tarot, numerology, all that stuff. And it's really good to have. Oh, forgot me? Oh, what month? Did I forget Aries? I thought I did Aries. Did I miss something? Okay. Well, we're not off air. You were Aries, right? Let me go back and look. Oh, this program isn't letting me go back. It's kind of stuck. Okay, hang on. Just remind me if it's Aries. Okay, she said yes. Okay, it says red, and let me just check here. C. Okay, it's the note C. And it says the C note vibrates the color red, and astrological sign is Aries. This applies to persons born during the month of March 21st to April 20th. The ram ruled by the planet Mars governs the optic nerve, upper jaw, palate, face, and head. Red depicts action and energy. Good qualities include leadership and alertness, the willingness to help others, and being brave. Ooh, I like that. Afflictions that some of the natives of that sign demonstrate by maybe they're too daring. Tendencies to quarrel and self-will out of proportion. Some Aries are poor judges of character and should never, if possible, work under others. They intend to be biggies. That was Aries. Did she have any dream stories? You know what? She had a dream journal. Because because she writes about keeping a notebook by her bed to jot down words and her dreams. And she used to journal all the time. I don't know what happened in those journals. I don't think anybody knows, because I asked Dyke about her tarot cards and he says, I think she left them in Peru. Oh, well. Or they're gone. I don't know. I got a crystal ball and that was it. And then her books, of course, and then a bunch of paper and diskettes. She had a whole stack of diskettes, but they were in her old house that was just kind of locked up for 12 years. So I was only able to get information off about half of the diskettes. And I had to go and buy an old 486 computer with a floppy disk drive to read them. Yeah, see, Lady Tammy says, I was born March 21st, but I'm actually a Pisces. Yeah, because it depends on what time you're born and where on the planet will determine your sign. So people would say, oh, you're on the cusp. No, you're not. You're late degree Pisces, but you're Pisces. That's a fact, Jack. And actually the dates shift a little. I think from year to year, sometimes it'll be the 19th or the 20th or the 21st, depending on the year. From sign to sign. Okay, I think that wraps that up. I think I answered everybody's questions. You've inspired me to maybe do these in between books, but yeah, that would be fun to have a whole bunch of little notebooks from Helene. Because these are the 4 that I found. And I just think they're so cute, right? Like legal pad paper folded in half, printed on a IBM printer. So yeah, things have changed a lot since the days we were doing courses like this and printing stuff out. Yeah, and leave any questions you have, and I'll be getting back to them later because I'm going to talk more about this because this is fun. So I hope I answered people's questions about blueprints. And, there's lots of sources to find answers for yourself now that are just different than when Helene had them in her day. So, yeah, I think that's it. And I'll post links below or above. I think it depends on where the video is being viewed and what platform. And, I'm always doing another video. I've got every month I have a sweepstakes Q&A. I've got interviews with people. I got lots of interesting things coming up. So I'll see you again soon, and we'll talk about something else that's going to change your life.